What's good, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a little bit of a while. Today's video, I really want to talk about my journey with celibacy, with singlehood, and just taking a break from dating from men, honestly, and just romantic love, because this has been such a journey for me, and it's been something that has been, I don't know. It's been something that I've learned so much about myself. I've been single now for 2 years, but I kind of went on this intentional journey over this past, I would say, year plus of really just like focusing in on myself, just allowing myself to really kind of figure out who I am, who do I want to be without the influence of other people and a relationship. Like I think I really needed that time. And I know a lot of you guys can probably relate. I haven't really spoken fully about this journey and what it's been like for me just because I've been learning so much. So sometimes it's like, it's hard for me to talk about things like when I'm going through them, you know? This is like the thing is with YouTube, and this is something that I've been really having to sit with. It's a bit unrelated, but something I've been really realizing is like, as like being a content creator, you can share so much of yourself online, and sometimes you don't, like, I think now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize like, wow, this is kind of weird when you really think about it. Like I kind of tend to overshare, and it's just not like the most normal thing to be doing. So this is something specifically, like this topic is something that's a little bit scary and nerve-wracking to talk about and be vulnerable about. But I want to share like the things that I've learned and things that I've been through really simply because I want this to help just one person. Like if this helps one person, then I'm happy. And this video honestly is more like for the girls anyways. I know I have it's not just women who view my videos, but this video specifically is more for the girls. If you're a man watching this, then cool, you can stay, but please, the conversation, the comments, let's leave it for the girls, okay? Because this is gonna be more personal, more vulnerable to me, and it's just a bit, I don't know, I just feel like this just needs to be a space sometimes just for the girls. And also, another disclaimer, like whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, it's never coming from a place of judgment or like me trying to be preachy or whatever. Like if you are, everybody should live their life how they want to live it. And so whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, I'm really not ever trying to come from a place of like judgment or, I know we have like religious backgrounds and all these different things that will make you feel shamed for whatever decisions you make in your life. But it's like at the end of the day, like we have to kind of experience things sometimes to learn from them. And it's okay to also have your own different views on things. So just because this is like the things that I've experienced and things that I view about dating and love and sex and all that stuff does not mean that it has to apply to your life as well. So like I said, I took a year of being celibate and being single, and I can honestly say it changed my life so drastically. Like this is something that I've seen people talk about online and on TikTok and all that stuff for a long time, and I honestly never thought that I'd be the person to do this, just because I'm very like, to me, I'm not like, oh, like I need to go to like very drastic measures in order to learn a lesson or in order to change my life or whatever. Like I'm very much, I don't know, to me, I just would always see it and I would think that people were just kind of being a bit extreme whenever they would talk about celibacy. But eventually I got to a point where I just realized that like, no, this is the best decision for me. Like actually, I think that I need to do this. I need a break from dating, from romance, all these different things, so I can really take time for myself. I've been single now for about 2 years. If you guys don't already know, I was in like kind of like a long-term relationship before that, and I would say I was kind of in back-to-back relationships from a pretty young age. So for me, like this whole thing of like celibacy and hookup culture or whatever, it was never really like a big problem for me or a big thing that I really feel like I could relate to until I became single for a while. When I became single, I wasn't very much focused. Like I was focused on myself. I really, like, honestly, I was spending a lot of time with myself and going to the gym and doing these things to feel good, especially like coming out of a relationship, but I also was seeing people and I also was dating, and it got to a point where, I finally kind of realized like, okay, I actually need a break from this. I actually need a break, and I really need some time for just me where I'm not talking to anybody, where I'm not, even entertaining or texting someone or going on dates. Like I need some time to myself. And the past year, me doing that really, like I genuinely had to do it. Like it wasn't like like I just made this decision, like I thought my life would improve. Like I genuinely think that my mental health was to a point where it was like I needed a genuine break from men. The thing is, okay, so let me kind of back up because I feel like I'm not really making any sense. When I got out of my like most recent relationship, I was kind of like dating around, but the problem with that is that I was not emotionally available. I knew I was not ready for a relationship right out of my last relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew that I wasn't ready for that, but yet I still wanted to be entertained. I still wanted to go on dates and, just entertain the idea of love for whatever reason. And I think it's really just because I was in a relationship for so long that it just kind of felt like, okay, I have freedom, and I didn't want to like give myself time to just take time for myself. I was like, no, I'm good. Like I knew this relationship was going to end. I'm ready to date. It's a very common thing. When you do become single, it just feels like this like really fun thing of like, I can finally, explore what's out there and whatever. So again, I was dating, but the problem was I wasn't ready for a relationship. So I wasn't emotionally available. And because of that, I was attracting people who were also not emotionally available, which is a problem. Because when that happens, again, you can be going on these dates or you can be talking to someone and, you kind of are getting close to them. You're getting to know somebody. But like when there's some kind of wall there, either with you or with that person or with both people, it's not like there's literally almost no point to it. And oftentimes it can feel like you're just wasting your own time, but then you keep doing it because when one or two people are not emotionally available, it just kind of starts to feel a bit addicting. It kind of, it can be a bit toxic. It can be a bit, you don't really know what's going on. You don't really know what you're doing. Like that whole thing of that like cat and mouse or that chase or whatever you want to call it, like it's a bit more entertaining than a stable, secure relationship. And I wouldn't even say entertaining because it's really not healthy, but it's a bit more, you don't really fully know what's going on. And so therefore it can feel entertaining, but really all you're kind of doing is wasting your own time. Or I wouldn't even say like, I don't think anything's a waste of time. Honestly, I don't regret like any experience that I've really ever had in my life because I think that everything is for us to learn and grow as people. Honestly, I know that sounds kind of bad, but I think it, like, I don't really regret it. But like my thing is just that like, usually these situations that you end up in, again, when you're not ready for a relationship or that the person that you're speaking to isn't ready for a relationship, they're oftentimes not really adding value to your life. They're oftentimes, honestly, when you really zoom out from it, from the excitement or whatever that it brings, or maybe you're intimate with a person, whatever, like maybe there's something that you are kind of getting from it. But honestly, when you're really truly asking yourself what it really is it's like a bit of like a distraction from you doing the things that you need to be doing to work on yourself. And so I kind of found myself in that situation. And I think that you can literally go back to my old videos where like I first became single and I was talking about it. I genuinely think that I thought that I was immune to that because I was like, oh no, like I'm emotionally intelligent. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I can date. I'm good. Like I was like, I don't care. Like I'm chilling. Like I'm just having fun. It's summer, whatever, whatever, like whatever excuses we make up. We oftentimes, I think that we know more than we do until we get into a situation that humbles us. And it's like, oh shit, actually, I don't know as much as I thought I did. And I'm also maybe not as mature as I thought I was, or I'm not as like, above whatever as I thought that I was. Because sometimes like I'll hear other people talk about certain things like online. I'm like, how did you end up in that situation? Like, why are you even in a situationship? Like clearly, but then it's like you end up in it too. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like every girl has this experience, like such a universal thing. I think I'm kind of like losing the plot here, but basically I'm saying like, I was not emotionally available and I was wasting my time. And it got to a point where I was literally realizing like, okay, I was kind of looking at myself and I was like, maybe there's some issues. Like maybe I'm actually a bit scared to be alone. I was attracting someone in my life who also wasn't emotionally available. And therefore I'm like wasting my time and my energy with someone who it's not leading anywhere. I'm stressed out about a man who's not my man. And then I'm being physically intimate with this person. And so it creates this false sense of closeness when in reality, it's like, I don't really feel emotionally safe. I don't feel good within. And as a woman, I think especially it can just be such a discomforting feeling, and it can cause a lot of anxiety and a lot of just stress in your life when you are opening yourself up to someone and being so vulnerable with someone. Really, I think what it was genuinely, like deep down, is that like I was not able to just sit with myself and sit with these feelings of being alone. And, there's something about when you're dating and you're not emotionally available, there's something that feels so good about the validation that you're getting from someone that you are involved with, or the people, if you're dating around or whatever. There's something that feels so good about that validation that you're getting. And so for me, it was this feeling of like, okay, I don't even really want to be in a relationship really, but like, I still like to get a text from someone. I still like to get taken out on dates. I still like the physical intimacy, all these different things that are validating me and stroking my ego and making me feel good on like an egoic level. But like deep down in my soul and in my heart, it's not really filling me up. And because I am such a self-improvement ass bitch that I want to like learn the lessons, I want to do all the inner work that I can to like become better. I was like, while in that situation, I was trying to do the work to make myself become emotionally available, when in reality, I just was not ready to be in a relationship. I wasn't ready for love. Like there were so many signs in my physical world that were telling me this. Like I was living in Austin at the time, like during this year of me dating around and having fun or whatever. I was living in Austin and I didn't even really want to be living in Texas. I knew that I was going to be moving out of Texas. So it's like, I wasn't in such a transition period in my life, but I think because, again, it can be scary to be lonely and it can be scary to really just sit with yourself and not get that validation from other people, especially when you're used to it because you came out of a relationship. It can be scary to be alone. And so basically it got to a point where, girl, I was not okay. I was sad. I was depressed. I was not doing the best. I would go out. I would drink. I was getting involved in like these really, like not even like really weird or crazy situations. I feel like I partied a bit in college, so I wasn't like going crazy, but I was like, there would just be some weekends where I'd look at myself and like, I'd be like, girl, what are you doing? And from like the outside looking in, sorry, my camera overheated again. From the outside looking in, I don't think that like I was so down bad to a point where it's like you could really tell. Like I was still, I was still like, I'm still a very like, even in relationships, I've always still been a very independent person. Like I'm not going to ever like give my whole life to a man or to like anyone. Like even when I am in a relationship, like I'm still very my own person. So, I was still going to the gym. I was still showing up and working and, talking to you guys and hanging out with friends and doing my things. I was traveling a bit. It's like I was still a person. Like I wasn't like falling apart from the seams, but I was still just like wasting my time on things that like I should not have been wasting my time on. And there was multiple times where I would look at myself and I would know like I could be doing better. I could be feeling better. Like I could be doing so much more, but I'm just not doing it because I'm too caught up emotionally in something that's not even like feeding me back. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm wasting my time. I'm not performing on my best. Like I'm performing below par. So that's kind of disappointing because I think I'm just like I'm also a very like, for like the longest time I was always very high achieving and I'm pretty like, I'm an Aries. I'm very competitive. Like I want to be, I just always want to be elevating, I think. And which sounds so annoying, but like that's just kind of like how my mind is like subconsciously. When I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm failing. So I think a part of me also just kind of felt like, okay, like I'm letting myself down. I'm not showing up as the best version of myself that I can. And so it just got to a point where I really had to kind of start learning. Like I really took the time to start learning about myself, learning about why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I acting this way? Why am I crying at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday and I'm smoking weed all day every day for like a week straight and I'm like losing track of time? Like, why am I doing these things? This is not normal. And I took a lot of time. I think it was around January of 2023, so last year, where I finally kind of started getting to a point where I was like, okay, I need to understand what's going on. I just went down like a deep dive of learning. I read Attached, that book on, attachment styles. I started watching different people on YouTube. I started watching Wizard Liz and Share Is Seven. And eventually I found this one lady who I always will talk about. Her name is Mina, the Universe Guru. And her videos really started changing my life, honestly. Like she really helped me understand like why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And she talks a lot about different things on our channel, especially like dating and as a woman, like kind of growing up and being in your 20s and learning about yourself and all these different things. And so one video that I stumbled across on her channel that really kind of like woke me up and kind of changed my life a bit is the video that she made on hookup culture. I watched it and I remember so vividly, like just that day. And I remember like just how I felt watching it, and I literally cried. And that video really kind of woke me up and made me realize, basically I realized, okay, a lot of the pain that I'm feeling, a lot of the sadness that I'm feeling, and the anxiety that I'm feeling, and this like false sense of connection that I feel to this person that I'm not even very emotionally connected to, is because I'm being physically intimate with this person. And I feel like for whatever reason, like I just, when you're being physically intimate with someone, at the end of the day, I genuinely believe that you are creating a bit of a spiritual bond there. And as women, because we are more spiritual, we are a bit more, we have these magical wombs that have a lot of this like divine power in it. Because of that, we can tend to be a bit more empathetic, and we can tend to be a bit more, and I'm a Cancer moon also. So there's a lot of things in there. Like I'm a bit of a more sensitive person. I'm a bit more empathetic. I'm a bit more like, again, I feel, I don't just like let a lot of people in, and I don't even like, even letting someone into my apartment. Like I'm just very to myself. And so when I do let someone in, it's a huge deal for me. And so that ought to say, I think that I finally started realizing from watching Mina the Universe Guru and just reading different things, again, reading that book Attached, and really mainly through like prayer and journaling. And I know some people, when you think about prayer, you think about like, just the standard way of prayer. But for me, like going to the gym is a form of prayer. Like hiking is a form of prayer. Like I would spend time with plant medicine, and I would literally sit in nature and just like journal and learn about myself. And I started to really understand how I got to the point that I was at. And again, the fact that physical intimacy is one major thing that I can actually control, and I can decide, okay, I don't have to keep doing this anymore. And I can, it's not going to heal everything right away, but like this thing, if I stop doing this, sorry, there's a plane going and I'm trying to talk before my camera overheats again. That was the one thing where I was like, I can control this, because I can't control the past. I can't change the past. And I kept really, like, honestly, a huge thing that kind of was like making me feel stuck in my sadness and the feelings that I was feeling is like I kept being mad at myself for even getting involved in the situation that I was in. I kept fixating on like, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have did this. Like I was learning the lessons, and I kept like looking at myself and then getting mad at myself for not knowing the lesson sooner. But it's like, girl, you cannot change the past. So eventually, first of all, I was like, okay, I have to focus my energy back on myself. I think that's kind of like what Share 7 helped me kind of learn a bit, is like you need to focus back on yourself, right? And then focusing so much, or instead of focusing so much on the past, focus on what is the future that you want, what do you want out of the future, but also what are you doing in your day-to-day, like in the present moment, to get to that future self. So that was like a huge shift for me. And when I had watched that Mina the Universe Guru video on hookup culture, it had hit me, okay, one of the major things that I can control right now, like today, is what I'm doing with my body and who I'm being intimate with. And again, this may seem very obvious and like no shit to some people, but it's like, to me, I was like, wait, I'm in control. I'm the one who, I don't have to be intimate with this person. I don't have to even be talking to them. And really, truly, I think that like if I wasn't physically intimate with the person that I was stressing over, I probably wouldn't have been so stressed about them. You know what I'm saying? When you take away the physical intimacy, what do we even have? Like really, truly, yes, I, like this person, whatever. Like sometimes when you take that away, when you take away that one little thing, the whole vibe of the situation changes, and you start to see that person really, truly for who they are. And so I just got to a point and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it. And not only am I not going to do it, moving forward, when I do meet someone, I'm going to make sure that I'm being more logical in my decision making. And before I just get carried away with the passion and the emotion and the physical and the attraction, I'm going to really make sure that I know who this person is. And I'm going to really make sure that this is the person for me. So without even fully kind of meaning to, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be celibate for 30 days or I'm going to be celibate for 60 days. I told myself I'm not going to be physically intimate with someone again until I'm sure about that person. And lo and behold, it ended up being a year of me being celibate. I didn't even intend to be like celibate for a year. What ended up happening was because I had felt this full sadness of the things that I was feeling, and I had really had to like sit with myself and learn the why. Because of that, the whole celibacy thing wasn't so much of like this huge deal. It wasn't like a, you know, like when you like you're doing dry January and like you go out to dinner with friends, or there's like, you know, people are ordering wine and you're looking and you're like, oh, like I want it. Like, no, it wasn't like, there was no temptation there, just because again I was so disgusted with the idea of men and with the idea of opening myself up to someone who doesn't deserve it. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I don't want to. I'm good. I felt the sadness, I felt the bad, like, I trust me, I'm good. I don't want to be depressed anymore. Let's move on. And then from there, I didn't immediately go into like no dating, singlehood. I am just a girl. Like, I still, you know, I get people in my Instagram DMs like, girl, what do you want me to do? So I was still like, I allowed myself for like a few weeks to like go on some dates. Because again, I was so caught up on this like one person that I wasn't even entertaining anybody else. Like, I was genuinely like so emotionally closed off. And it finally hit me like, girl, you are single. What are you doing? Like, just go on a few dates. Like, just see what's out there. You know what I'm saying? And so I allowed myself to like say yes to some dates. But again, because I had this like boundary within myself that didn't even really need to be spoken, there was no question of like, oh, do you want to come over? Or like, oh, do you want to come to my place? Like, no, like, I will meet you at dinner and that would be it. Like, it wasn't like I was going on dates with people, but it wasn't a thing that I was celibate. It was just like, okay, I'm going on a few dates with you. And honestly, what happened with that is like, I really, really enjoyed those few weeks of dating because it really helped me kind of understand, like, when I'm really just looking at things from a more logical perspective instead of getting caught up in like the emotions and the attraction and the chemistry and the like, instead of getting caught up in those things with someone and really just like looking at someone and really getting to know them. And because mind you, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm gonna be sleeping with someone on the first date anyways, but I'm just saying, like, instead of even having that be a question, because I knew that I was probably not going to end up sleeping with these people, it just made it so much easier for me to get to know them and to really see them for them. And it made it really also easier for me to understand that, like, okay, this person's not for me, this person's not for me. Like, you know, I wasn't getting, I think when you're physical with someone, you can easily kind of get mixed up with the attraction and the chemistry for what could actually be compatibility. And so because I had taken that part away, I was able to really clearly see whether I liked someone or not, or whether, you know, I saw a future with someone or not. And eventually it kind of got to a point where, again, I was leaving Austin. Y'all know, if you guys watch my vlogs, like, I was starting to get stalked at one point. My lease was about to end. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of the city. Like, I need to get out of the country. And so eventually I was just kind of starting to decenter men less, and like men, I wasn't so much focused on dating. I wasn't so much attached to anybody. And so for me, it became easy for me to really ask myself, okay, bitch, what do you want to do? What do you want? Like, not worrying about this man over here or even your friends. Like, you know, I love my friends. Like, without, like, because right now, like, at the end of the day, even though I know being single can sometimes feel like this like sad thing or whatever, one thing that I constantly would remind myself was the fact that, like, this is the one time in my life, maybe, or the first time in my life in a long time, where I can really truly do whatever I want without worrying about someone else. And that is such a blessing. Like, when you really think about it, like, you have complete freedom. You can take off and go anywhere. You can take out, you know, like, when I was in a relationship before, I could not travel. I couldn't even be like, I couldn't do like a really long trip without having to deal with my ex giving me shit about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is the one time that I can really do what I want. So I really started asking myself, like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? And I allowed myself to go and travel. And so I booked, you guys know, if you guys watch my vlogs, like, I booked a one-way to Thailand. I went to Asia for a few months. I traveled around Asia. I went to India and got my yoga certification. And I allowed myself to do the things that I've always wanted to do. And I allowed myself to do it alone. You know, I've done solo trips in the past. Like, I really do love traveling by myself. I already really did enjoy spending time by myself, but it was just more for me, I think, leaving the country, like, a big thing of like, okay, I don't know, like, it kind of just felt good. So naturally, because I was traveling so much, I just wasn't thinking about dating, I wasn't really seeking that validation from men. I wasn't really seeking, like, you know, even when I was meeting people abroad, like, I wasn't like, oh, like, am I gonna sleep with this person? Like, you know, you have like these like travel flings or whatever. Like, I was not on that kind of time. I was really truly focused on myself and getting my yoga certification and, you know, doing the things that I really, really wanted to do for myself. I was really into making my vlogs, so I really enjoyed doing that. Girl, I was in my own world, really, truly. And eventually I just got more and more used to it. And, you know, I got back to the US. I moved to LA for a little bit. I was not dating in LA at all. I was like, girl, no. Like, LA was around when you know, Palestine, like that stuff started happening, and I was really learning a lot about that. And I was really, really sad and depressed during that whole situation just because I was like learning so much. I feel like the world was just starting to get so crazy, but everybody was like still moving at the same time. So I spent a lot of time by myself in LA, but honestly, I think it was very healing and very needed. Like, I really, really, really went inward and really kind of like experienced the fullness of loneliness and being alone, even through an extremely hard time. Like, if you guys watch my vlogs from then, like, that was around, because I was sharing everything that I was learning, I lost my TikTok, my TikTok got banned. I lost a few brand deals. Like, girl, I was not in the best place mentally at all in LA, and I spent a lot of time by myself. But honestly, as weird as it sounds, I'm really glad that I had that time with myself, because going through an extremely rough time in your life and going through it alone actually, I think, can teach you a lot about yourself and can teach you that, like, at the end of the day, like, you will be okay. Like, you will survive. Like, even if you're by yourself. And, you know, sometimes I think it can, again, like, being alone can be so scary because it feels like we need someone during these tough moments or whatever. It can be very scary to be alone. But, like, at the end of the day, when you go through something hard and you go through it by yourself, it really teaches you that you will be okay at the end of the day. Like, you will survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can pick yourself up through things if you really need to. And so, like, that was just a very crazy moment for me. And so, yeah, I'm just saying this all to say that, like, I think that, like, there were just multiple times throughout the year where I really, really valued the time that I was getting with myself. I don't know, it just, like, I feel like if you're ever struggling with, like, taking a break from dating or being celibate or whatever, like, honestly, I think if you really just focus in on the things that you want to do, like things that you are really interested in, or going, you know, the places that you want to visit, like, there's so many things that you probably, when you really ask yourself, like, what do you want to experience? What do you want to do out of life? When you focus in on those things instead of focusing so much on, like, who can do these things with me, I feel like it really allows you to kind of realize that, like, there's so much more to the world than just romantic love and, you know, relationships and dating and sex. Like, there's so many things that can fill your spirit, that can fill your soul, and that can bring you a sense of peace outside of just love. You know what I'm saying? And love, like, really truly, when you think about it, like, love, it exists in every single thing around you. Like, love is, you know, the feeling of the sun on your skin. Love is like you reading an amazing book on the beach and eating some fruit. And, you know, love is you meeting someone who you really vibe with when you're in Tokyo, and, like, having the really cool, like, deep conversations. Like, love exists in so many different things. Like, there were so many different moments when I was traveling where I was like, wow, my heart is, like, full. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm by myself, I'm alone, but, like, really, I don't feel alone ever. Like, I feel like I'm surrounded by love all the time. And so I feel like that's just a really big thing. Like, I really recommend, like, if this is something that you are interested in doing, or like a journey that you feel like you might struggle with, maybe, again, just ask yourself, what's something that you can pour yourself into, whether that be traveling and going somewhere or learning a new skill. You know, again, I went to India at a certain point and I got my yoga certification. So I was there for a month, and I was really just like, that month was not easy for me, by the way. Like, I had that was the month where I started having moments where I was slipping up and I started calling my old situationships. I was like, I'm so lonely. Like, I was like, I'm so, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just needed someone to vent to. And sometimes, like, I would call my friends too, but, like, I like to annoy a man when it's like, who cares what? It's a man, who cares? So I was doing that, but, like, still, that was really still such an amazing thing for me, because it really allowed me to, like, pour myself into something that I wanted to learn. So I'm just saying this all to say, like, if you pour yourself into things outside of love and outside of relationships, because you will learn that there's way more to life than just that. You know, I was still pouring myself into going to the gym. I was learning a lot about like nutrition. Like I just did so many different things, and I explored so many different facets of like, what do I want to do out of life? Like what interests me? What do I like reading? Like there's just so much that I learned about myself in the past year. And eventually I started realizing, like I was, you know, spending time with myself, and I was like, I think I want to move to New York. So I got my place here. I moved in. I spent a couple months out of this time also in Texas with my mom, and just like, you know, spending time with family. It's crazy to think, but like that year, again, like the year that I spent traveling and moving around and figuring out, again, what do I want to do? Where do I want to live? All these things. It wasn't so much tied in with my year of celibacy and singlehood, but I think that it ended up kind of coming up around that same time, because of course, when you're trying to figure out like when you're in a transition period in your life, I just feel like it's very, very hard for you to be open to connecting with someone emotionally. And again, because I told myself that I'm not going to be intimate with someone physically unless I really feel connected with them and say, you know, whatever on that level with them emotionally. Because I had made that decision, naturally I was celibate. And, you know, it kind of just became, it didn't really feel like a thing or like something that was like a big deal, just because, again, I was really just focused on myself. If you are on a celibacy journey, or if you're on a journey of singlehood, or whatever it is that you want to call it, I would really encourage you not to look at it so much as a thing about celibacy, or like I wouldn't so much hyper fixate on that part of it. I would focus more on the other things. Like I would focus more on, what are you trying to get out of this? What are you, you know, what is this journey about for you? Like if you don't feel ready to date right now, if you don't feel ready to be in a relationship, what are the things that you are focused on instead of dating or sex or whatever? Like focus, again, don't, like I think with anything in life, whenever you're trying to, and maybe not so much, I don't know, I've never dealt with like sobriety or anything like that, but like I feel like sometimes instead of focusing so much on the thing that you're trying to take away and making that into like the star of the show, sometimes I think it's a bit more helpful to focus on the things that you are adding to your life instead. When you're setting this boundary, when you're deciding to be celibate or whatever, like that's there needs to be a point where you decide like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Like this is a boundary that I'm setting with myself. I don't want to experience this anymore. I don't want to experience hookup culture. I don't want to experience situationships. There has to be a point where you do decide that, but eventually it needs to stop becoming so much about that thing or that person or sex or whatever, and it needs to start becoming about you. Because again, that like you are the star of the show. You are the thing that you need to focus on. And yeah, I don't know, that's just kind of like my biggest piece of advice if you find yourself kind of wanting to also do this journey or go down this journey, is again, focus, like maybe write down a list of like, what are the things that you want to do? Like, do you want to go learn a new skill? Do you want to look for a job? Like, do you want to change jobs? Do you want to move? Do you want to become hotter? Like that, you know, that's something that like I also was like really kind of thinking about, is like I want to be in the gym more. I want to figure out my relationship with food and nutrition. Like, and again, we don't need, like, I think that sometimes also like we think about taking a break from dating or taking time for ourselves. We sometimes feel like, okay, I need to do all these different things before I can be ready to date again. And then sometimes we want to be perfect before we start dating again. But just remember that like you don't need to be perfect. It's not about, you know, getting to a point where it's like you're never going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? And it's never going to feel like it's the right time to start again. And that was something that I really kind of struggled with, is like figuring out like, okay, am I ready? Am I not? Like I was very nervous to start dating again. And girl, I like, the thing is I got so comfortable with myself, and I made a different video on this where I talk about this. So I'll link it somewhere as well. But it kind of got to a point where I was so comfortable with myself that I was kind of isolating myself a bit, and I wasn't really talking to people much at all. And I think that, you know, it's all about finding that balance, and it's about figuring out like, okay, you know when you're ready, right? We can all admit that we all do want love. It's normal and it's totally okay to want romantic love and to want partnership in your life and to want to be physically intimate with someone that you feel safe and secure with or whatever. Like, it's okay to want these things. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's about like I will never sit here and tell you to become a monk and to be celibate for 10 years and, you know, whatever. Like, it's not about that. To me, it's just more about really understanding, okay, if I'm going to take this time for me, like, love is not like the finish line. It's not like you like go down this healing journey and then it's like, okay, like I'm in a relationship, I'm healed. Like, no. And so if you're trying to go down this journey and you're trying to decide like how long should I be doing this for, I just encourage you to maybe not have a hard date in your mind or like a certain amount of time, and to instead really, really listen to your inner guidance system and to God or to whatever it is that you want to call it, the universe, whatever. Like, listen to yourself. And I think that when the time is right for you to open yourself back up to that again, you'll know. It will feel natural and it will feel good. And when you are ready for love, it will be easy. I think it'll be so much easier for you to attract what you want because you are in a totally different mindset than when you are involved with situations that you're not supposed to be involved in. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I feel like I could have said that a lot better. But I think that sometimes when you take a break from dating or you take a break from celibacy, it can feel like, damn, am I ever actually going to experience love again? Like, am I ever going to trust again and be open to somebody? Like, it can feel like it's like the end of everything, but it's like, just remind yourself that like this may just be a temporary amount of time for you. You will find love again. You will find your person again. You will eventually experience intimacy where you feel safe and secure and it feels like, you know, again, it doesn't need to be like this huge thing, but like when you are experiencing so many negative things when it comes to intimacy and dating and love, that's usually a sign that like maybe just take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe just take a bit of a break. Maybe it's just a month. Maybe it's just a few weeks. Not just a few weeks, but like maybe it's just a few months for you. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't need to be a year. Maybe for you, it's even longer than a year. Maybe it's a few years. You know what I'm saying? Just like really recognize that like everybody is different and you're going to hear so many people. Like, I feel like I see so many people talk about celibacy now online. You know, everybody's on a different journey. And I think it's really just about understanding what is good for you and what do you need out of taking some time out from the dating field. So yeah, I hope this was helpful in some way, you guys. I kind of rambled a lot and this is probably going to be very long, but let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any other questions. Let me know if you can resonate with this first, or if there's anything in this video that I talked about that did resonate with you, but also let me know if there's anything else that you guys want me to maybe touch on or expand on, or just some topics that you kind of feel are worth kind of exploring some more. That was my year of celibacy and singlehood. I'm in a totally different place in my life now. And, you know, I feel so good. Like, I actually feel like because I've been through this like little bit of a journey, and because I don't like, because I have these like boundaries, like I just, the difference when it comes to dating and how people treat me, how men treat me, like, girl, it's black and white. It's crazy. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel so empowered, and I feel like it's just making it so much more enjoyable to get to know people when I'm like at this place where it's like, girl, I'm good. Like, if things don't work out with this person, I will be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this date doesn't work out, or this guy doesn't like me, or whatever, if he's not treating me the way that I want to be treated, girl, I'm good. Like, I know my standards. I know what I want. Like, you know, I feel like I really, really, really enjoy dating now. And I genuinely feel like if you don't enjoy dating, it's because of something that you need to work on within, because you literally are only attracting people in your life that are, it's always in alignment with who you are and whatever energy you're putting out. So if you're not liking how men are treating you, girl, you got to look within. Everything's internal. What's that one video? There's a video that I watched on YouTube and I love that girl. She made this video. It's called Everything's Internal. It's so true. So yeah, anyways, I love you guys so much. My camera's going to keep overheating, so I have to go. I thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for sticking around if you guys are here till the end. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.